By the time I arrived at my sister's engagement party, the sun was slipping behind the trees, and the backyard lights around Mom's pool shimmered golden across the water. It should have been beautiful. Instead, the first thing I noticed was my name wasn't on the welcome board. It read Claire and Mason in elegant white script with Denise and family beneath. Not Amelia. Not the older daughter who had driven 2 hours straight from work to be here. Just family. The kind of vague phrasing people use when they've already decided you don't quite belong. I stood there for a moment, gift bag in hand, inhaling the mix of chlorine and grilled salmon. Laughter floated from the patio, music drifted softly through the outdoor speakers. Everything looked perfect, polished, carefully orchestrated. That was Mom's signature. Denise Holloway didn't host parties, she produced them. Every flower, every candle, every passing conversation had to whisper some flattering story about her life. Claire spoke that language naturally. She'd always known how to tilt her head just right, laugh at exactly the right volume, and make a room feel lucky it had her in it. When we were younger, I'd admired it. As I grew older, I realized charm in my family often masked control. When Claire spotted me near the gate, her smile widened for the crowd before softening for me. "You made it," she said, leaning in to kiss my cheek. "I said I would," I replied. "Work usually wins." There was a smile on her lips, but not in her eyes. "I brought your gift," I said, lifting the bag slightly. "Oh good," she said lightly. "Mom was worried you'd show up with one of those thoughtful but strange things again." I almost laughed. 3 years ago, I'd given Claire a framed copy of our grandmother's handwritten recipe card because she'd cried over it once as a child. Mom had called it aggressively sentimental. Before I could answer, she appeared. Pale blue dress, probably more expensive than my first apartment's rent. "There you are," she said, scanning me once. "You came like that?" I looked down at my black dress. Simple, clean, elegant enough. Yes. Could have tried a little harder. "Mom, Mason's family is here." "Hi to you too." She ignored me. "Claire, sweetie, go take pictures with the Harpers before they leave." Claire touched my arm once, lightly. "We'll talk later." Then she was gone. Mom stayed. "You're late." "I'm 8 minutes late," I said. "You're still late." I glanced past her at the party. Faces from childhood, neighbors, Mason's parents, men in sport coats talking too loudly by the bar, women glancing over shoulders while pretending not to. I had come straight from the office that I said it was a mistake. My mother's mouth tightened. "Amelia, please don't start making tonight about your job." I almost asked what she meant, but I already knew. To my family, my work had been a running joke for years because none of them had bothered to understand it. I worked for Mercer Holdings in New York. Officially, I was Executive Director of Strategic Operations. Unofficially, I was the one who fixed problems before powerful men ever had to see them. Schedules, negotiations, confidential reviews, quiet decisions that protected millions of dollars. Most of it passed through me first. My mother told people I was some kind of assistant. Claire used to correct her. Then she stopped. A server approached with a tray of champagne. Mom took a glass. I took water. Her gaze flicked to it. "Still doing that?" she asked. "Doing what?" "Trying to look superior by being disciplined." I let it hang there for a moment. "No. I just don't like being dull in rooms full of sharp people." Her expression shifted slightly. That was the thing about Mom. She could forgive almost anything except a sentence she couldn't control. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Tonight is Claire's night. Don't create tension because you feel overlooked." I studied her quietly. Then I said, "You have to see me first for me to be overlooked." Her face went cold for a second. Then someone called her name and her social smile returned like a switch had been flipped. As she turned, she said over her shoulder, "Try not to embarrass us." I stood there, water glass in hand, watching her glide back into the center of her perfect evening. A strange certainty settled over me, not anger, not hurt, just knowing. Something was going to happen tonight. I didn't know what yet, but I recognized the feeling. The subtle hum in the air when humiliation is being prepared like a place setting. The party moved outside as dusk deepened. The engagement toast was staged beside the pool, floating candles glimmering across the water, while a photographer urged guests to relax naturally, making everyone look more artificial. I lingered near the back, close enough to hear, far enough to breathe. Claire stood beside Mason in a white dress that hinted at bride without saying it outright. He rested a hand on her waist, smiling at the guests like he'd just closed a very lucrative deal. Maybe he had. Mason was polished in the practiced way wealthy men are. Right schools, private equity, mastered the tone that's polite but expects gratitude for attention. He'd always been courteous to me, not kind, just careful. During dinner, I noticed my place card had been moved from the family table to a small round table near the hedge, half hidden behind a floral stand. I picked it up and held it out to Mom. Was this a mistake? She glanced at it. No. You moved me. Claire wanted the main table to feel balanced. Actually smiled. The cruelty was so lazy it embarrassed me for her. Balanced, I repeated. Don't do that tone with me. What tone? The one where you act like everyone is attacking you. Before I could answer, Claire stepped in. Amelia, please, she said quietly. Can we not do this tonight? Do what? Notice, I said. Her face flushed. You always do this. You make tiny things feel huge. I almost said that tiny things become huge when they happen for 20 years. But I didn't. There was no point handing insight to people committed to misunderstanding it. I set the card down and took a seat at the small table, watching the speeches begin. Mason thanked everyone, Claire cried exactly when expected, and my mother dabbed under one eye with a practiced smile, like she was watching a commercial for the life she had curated. Then she stood to speak. Family, she said, raising her glass, is knowing who belongs in your life and protecting what matters. People nodded, sipped, smiled. Her eyes found mine across the terrace, and I felt the sentence before the moment arrived. The photographer called for immediate family to gather by the pool. I rose. Mom's face hardened, not surprise but decision. As I approached, she murmured, "Not you." "I'm her sister," I said calmly. "You're creating a scene." "No," I said. "You are." People around us went quiet. Not enough to intervene, just enough to witness. Claire glanced between us, flustered, embarrassed, angry at the wrong person. "Amelia, just let it go," she whispered. That sentence cut deeper than cruelty. Familiar. Let it go. Let her say it. Let her do it. Let it pass. I had spent half my life swallowing moments so other people could keep their image intact. Not tonight. Mom's smile stayed, but her hand came down hard on my arm. "Not here," I said. I pulled away and she shoved me. It happened fast. My heels slipped on the damp stone. Balance gone. Cold water slammed around me, swallowing the sound of the party. I surfaced, gasping. Laughter. Enough to make the whole world feel meaner. My dress clung, mascara burned, humiliation rising like a second body around me. I gripped the pool edge. Mom stood there, hand half raised, smile gone. Silence stretched. Then a voice cut through the terrace. "That's enough." Every head turned. Beyond the string lights, Daniel Mercer stood, tall in a gray suit, dark coat draped over one arm, expression unreadable. The richest man in New York, my boss, the one person in this yard who knew exactly who I was. Silence became physical as he walked toward the pool with calm authority, the kind that never needed to raise a voice. Mom blinked, recovering first. "Mr. Mercer," she said, breathless. What a surprise. He didn't look at her. He looked at me. "Amelia. Are you hurt?" I climbed out without answering. A server rushed towels. I wrapped one around my shoulders, breathing steadying. "I'm okay," I said. His eyes flicked to Mom deliberately. Mason stepped forward before anyone else could speak. "There's no need to misunderstand. It was just a family moment." Daniel's tone was calm, but the way he repeated it made Mason shrink. "No, Daniel," he said. "I don't." Then, facing the crowd, "For those who don't know me, I'm Daniel Mercer." Recognition moved across faces, followed by curiosity, calculation. Then he added, "Amelia works directly for me. She has for 6 years." Confusion hit Mom first, then Claire, then Mason. "She told us she worked in operations," Mom said, voice tight. "I do," I said. Daniel's hand slid into his pocket. "She leads strategic operations for my firm. Most deals reach my desk because she decides they're worth reaching." Mason went pale so fast it was impressive. Suddenly, he understood the quiet sister he had ignored and underestimated. He realized she wasn't an assistant, not an afterthought, not a lonely woman coming alone to parties. She was the woman whose signature had delayed his company's funding review 3 weeks ago. He met my eyes. "Wait." "Yes," I said. Claire stared. Why didn't you ever say anything? Because none of you ever asked in order to listen, I said. It landed harder than I expected. Mom stepped forward, voice thinner. Amelia, this is not the time to be dramatic. I looked at the wet hem of my dress reflecting the pool lights, then back at her face. You pushed me into a pool in front of 50 people. Her mouth opened, but Daniel spoke first. The club has security cameras, he said. I suggest we preserve the footage. That was when my mother finally realized she couldn't talk her way out of this. She turned to me, letting go of the social mask she always wore. You're really going to do this? To your sister? There it was again, responsibility handed downward as if I had always been meant to carry it. I held her gaze. No, I said. I'm done doing this for my sister. Claire flinched. I turned to her. She looked shaken, not just by what Mom had done, but by the cost of the truth, by the fact that she had laughed with the room before realizing the room had misjudged the wrong woman. I didn't deserve that, I said. He swallowed. I know. No, I said quietly. You know now. Mason tried one last time. Amelia, whatever misunderstanding we've had, maybe we can reset this. I almost admired the instinct. Humiliation from me was unforgivable. Humiliation of me was negotiable. Daniel looked at him with complete disinterest. Your review meeting is cancelled. Mason said nothing after that. I drew a breath, adjusted the towel around my shoulders, and felt something settle inside me. I had imagined for years what it would feel like to finally be seen by my family. I thought it would taste like triumph. It didn't. It tasted like clarity. That was better. I'm not staying, I said. My mother's eyes flashed. You walk out now. Don't expect to come back. I gave a small, tired smile. That hadn't sounded like a threat for a long time. I picked up my bag from the chair near the patio door. Behind me, nobody spoke. That silence, heavy, awkward, undeniable, was more satisfying than any argument I could have won. 3 weeks later, Claire's engagement was postponed. 2 months later, it was over. Daniel never brought up that night unless I did. He simply told legal to preserve the footage in case I needed it. And then that fall he promoted me with the same calm efficiency he used for everything else. My mother emailed twice. The first time she claimed stress. The second, families should handle things privately. I replied once. You made it public. Claire wrote much later. Just one line. I should have stopped her. I stared at it for a long time before answering. Yes, you should have. That was all. No grand reunion. No dramatic doorstep apology. No last-minute speech about love. Just consequence. Just distance. And the quiet relief of finally realizing that being rejected by people who want to keep you small is not a loss. It is freedom.